Right now at 5, President Trump meets with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska. What's being said as they work to end the war in Ukraine?
Preventing ballots from going missing. The new instructions being given by the Wisconsin Elections Commission to Madison's clerk.
Plus, helping local students get ready for the school year. We're live on University Avenue, stuffing the bus with essential school supplies. You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
We have breaking news tonight at 5 out of Dodge County. A Canadian Pacific train has derailed in rural Lowell. That's just west of Reeseville.
Around 22 of the 95 cars have been derailed. The Dodge County Sheriff's Office says that no injuries were reported here. The train carrying crude oil. Some of that oil is believed to have leaked from those derailed cars. First responders say there does not, however, appear to be any immediate danger to the public.
At this time, like you said, there is no current threat to the general public. We're going to monitor that throughout the next couple hours, working with emergency management, along with CP Rail, and giving you updates as needed throughout the night.
Now, 2 years ago, 29 train cars derailed at that same location, temporarily shutting down traffic, causing some damage to rail lines, and we'll keep you updated with the latest information both on air and online, channel3000.com, as crews begin the cleanup there. All right, storms are expected to move into our region tonight, but will there be any severe weather?
Meteorologist Blaze Keller is here with the answer. Blaze?
And we are still sitting underneath that slight risk or a scattered chance for severe weather in the yellow that has been extended to more of not only our coverage area, but a lot more of central and western parts of Wisconsin. Still, we're eyeing strong winds and hail and heavy rain as the main threats. And so where are those showers and thunderstorms right now? We're going to use Radar 3000 and talk about two areas. The first area is off towards Waterloo, Iowa. Now, these were originally moving off towards the east, but our storm moving winds, or the steering winds is kind of what we call them at 500 millibars, are turning more out of the southeast. So guess what is now moving more towards the southeast? This cluster of storms. So even though Grant and Crawford County, we're still underneath that severe thunderstorm watch until 7 tonight, with this cluster in particular, I think this is going to likely, the worst of it will push more into the Davenport area along 80 between Des Moines as well as Davenport. Then we turn our attention off towards the Twin Cities as well as towards the Eau Claire area. This is where that cold front, now a stalled front, is set up. This was originally or expected to be a little bit more stronger, pushing off towards the southeast, bringing us this line of storms. But for now, these are moving very slowly off towards the south and east. So we still have a lot of time before, and if this line gets its act together, it impacts us. So let's take a look at future track here and see possibly what could be happening. So there's that cluster of storms pushing its way into northern Illinois, out of Iowa, and there's that second cluster of storms staying well off to our north, mainly a northern Wisconsin problem as we go overnight into the early morning hours on Saturday. We're going to continue to look at things behind the screen, and if obviously something changes, we'll let you know. We'll track out a couple more rain chances before the middle of next week in the full forecast.
All right, Blaze, thank you. The stage is set for the high-stakes meeting in Alaska between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin.
The two leaders will discuss ending the war in Ukraine. Willie James Inman is in Anchorage with the latest.
President Trump touched down first near Anchorage, followed by Russian President Vladimir Putin. The leaders then greeted each other on the tarmac at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson. The work quickly got underway with a sit-down meeting, with the media capturing the opening moments.
The meeting marks the first time since Putin has been in the U.S. since 2015, when he attended the United Nations General Assembly in New York.
It will be very severe.
On Air Force One before landing in Alaska, President Trump warned of severe economic consequences if Russia does not move towards peace.
I want to see a ceasefire. This is not to do with Europe. Europe's not telling me what to do.
European countries are concerned Putin is not serious about peace talks, with Russia's continued assaults on Ukraine.
President Trump, he's got to guard against making concessions to Putin that are going to alienate our European allies.
Protesters are in Alaska voicing their concerns.
It's not okay to do business with fascists, and the invasion of Ukraine should be punishable by sanctions, which we have to stick to.
Trump had said if things go well today, a second summit with Ukraine and Russia is possible. Willie James Inman, CBS News, Anchorage, Alaska.
And the two leaders are also expected to discuss possible economic opportunities during their sit-down. But President Trump said the U.S. will not do business with Russia until the war is settled.
The Sun Prairie Board of Education is hiring an attorney to lead its investigation after a former staff member was charged with child sex crimes. The board says the attorney is from the Milwaukee area and was specifically selected because they have no prior connection to the district. All findings from the investigation will be reported directly to the board for appropriate action and follow-up.
The Madison Police and Fire Commission almost done now with its search for a new police chief. Last night, the commission conducted its final interviews with each candidate, and they're down to 3. Captain Stephanie Drescher, Milwaukee Assistant Chief Stephen Johnson, and Madison Interim Police Chief John Patterson. The commission is meeting again tonight and will go over the public input it has received about the search. Members will then go into closed session to discuss who will lead the department.
An update to a story we've been following now for 8 months. Today, the Wisconsin Elections Commission moved forward with instructions for the Madison clerk's office after it failed to count nearly 200 ballots in the November 2024 election.
And the mistake triggered multiple investigations and caused longtime Madison clerk Mary Beth Witzel-Bale to resign. Our Ellie LaLiberte shows us how the city is moving forward.
The Wisconsin Elections Commission voted 5-1 to adopt the orders that don't only make an example of Madison, but also aim to prevent absentee ballots from going missing in the future. The 7 orders from the commission are mostly updated procedures for how the city should handle and prepare absentee ballots. The WEC did implement the Madison City Clerk's Office request to modify 5 of those orders to make it more manageable for staff.
We appreciate that they took our input seriously and listened to it.
City Attorney and Acting Clerk Michael Haas says many of the orders presented by the WEC are things the city has already implemented.
I think the 2 main things were, again, how we improved the training for poll workers on processed absentee ballots. In addition, one of the concerns was printing the poll books sooner, closer to the election, and that was also implemented for the spring elections.
But Haas says he's confident this error will not happen again.
We recognize that we have to continue to work to rebuild trust with voters, and we're confident that the city will be able to do that.
The next deadline for the city clerk's office is January 1st, where the clerk must detail in writing the steps taken to comply with each of the WEC orders. Reporting in Madison, Ellie LaLiberte, News 3 Now.
All right, Ellie, thank you. Haas also says the city is restructuring the clerk's office to improve efficiency and accountability, and he also noted a new clerk will be appointed in the coming weeks. Well, that sack lunch that you're sending to school with your child is now pricier. The costs rising more than the rate of inflation over the past year. Research from Deloitte found the average daily cost of a brown bag lunch is currently $6.15. That is about 3% more than at the start of the school year just a year ago. A classic lunch, including a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a milk, saw an even steeper price hike. While less than $5, it'll run you 6% more than it did just a year ago.
When asked what the reasonable cost for a packed lunch should be, $4.50 was the median answer from the parents surveyed, and all of the options in this study cost more than that.
42% of parents surveyed said their kids do bring lunch from home. Even if cafeteria food is cheaper or sometimes free, they pack their own, citing reasons like quality and variety.
Well, the clock is ticking for our annual Stuff the Bus fundraiser.
Well, you have until 6:30 tonight to donate school supplies at any Walgreens store. All of the supplies will go to local students ahead of the school year. Our Tanisha Shaw live outside the Walgreens on University Avenue in Tanisha. We have a big goal. Let's fill 500 backpacks, right?
Hi, Susan and Eric. Yes, I'm out here and we have a goal to get to. And let me tell you, I have a little update on it. I'm going to tease you a little bit. But look at this right here. The bus is overflowing. It's so much school supplies donated from our viewers and people around Dane County that they can't even stuff the bus. The bus is overstuffed at this point. But I'm here with someone who can tell us more about this donation and our partnership. So I'm with Julie Gullickson. Julie, how are you? Can you please tell us about this fundraiser and who it supports?
Yeah, thank you so much. We are beyond elated. This is our 4th year of a partnership with Kindness Bank and Walgreens, and we're also supported with Midwest Financial Group and News 3 Now, that we are at the prime location. It's overflowing. Walgreens gathered at participating stores $8,000 worth of merchandise, and the people have just kept coming with money, with supplies. It's been amazing to see. It's so many children are going to benefit and thrive during their back to school this year for everybody's effort working together, and it's a great feeling to have.
Absolutely. Like you said, it's just amazing. We've been out here with you today, and isn't it so cool seeing everybody come together to support our kids?
Very much so. I think in the world and the economy and everything, it's like people are really noticing where they can just do a little to make a big difference. And I think the impact from this today and this drive is going to be, successful year after year.
Okay, and this drive has been going on for 2 weeks, but it ends in person today at 6:30. So tell the viewers at home, how can we donate till 6:30? So what can we do?
Okay, so till 6:30, you can drop stuff off on University Avenue, the Walgreens by Hilldale Mall, but you can also go online to bgcdc.org, and you can give financial donations if you'd like, so they can use them for additional supplies or other products. And Easy Office or our Amazon wish list both go through today.
And Julie also told me that we are very close to that 500 goal. So, we want to fill up 500 backpacks. We are so close. So me and Julie are very excited. Eric and Susan, I hope to have a good update for you at 6, just minutes before this fundraiser ends. So let's cross our fingers. Let's try to make Tanasia and Julie and the Boys and Girls Club and everybody happy. But for now, I'm going to send it back to you, and hopefully I'll have a good update in about 30 minutes.
Awesome. Way to manifest it. We've overstuffed the bus.
This has really been a good effort.
Yeah,
2 weeks from our folks out there. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody who's helped out.
Absolutely.
Ahead at 5, Blaze tells us about our rain chances this weekend.
Plus, the Packers set to face off against the Colts in Indy tomorrow, but will any starters take the field? We'll have an update.
And later at 5, many college students are getting ready to go back to school. What you can do to help ease their stress.
And the markets end the week. Mixed numbers here. The Dow Jones up 35. The Nasdaq, though, loses almost 88. The S&P 500 falls almost 19. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Well, it's been dry the past couple of days, but storms may move into southern Wisconsin tonight.
That's right. Meteorologist Blaze Keller is here with how much rain we can expect this weekend. Blaze?
That's right. We're looking at 2 clusters of rain right now that could impact us. Off to the north in the cities, and then off to our south and west into more of central Iowa. We could see some storms likely coming out of that cluster to our north and west tonight, but we're still going to keep that threat for storms throughout the rest of the weekend because we're still going to be sitting underneath that stationary front type setup. And so along that front, we're going to be watching as a couple rounds of rain showers move through the Midwest. So let's take it out and show you where these 2 clusters are. This cluster off towards Waterloo, I really am not concerned about. Our steering winds, so winds at 500 millibars. When I was a young meteorologist, they told me that those winds really steer the storms. It's a midway in the atmosphere, so it kind of guides them along. Closer to us, they're out of the southeast versus further to the west, they were more easterly. So now this cluster is likely going to be diving its way into more northern Illinois. This cluster of storms is pushing off towards the south and east very slowly compared to this cluster. You can see that they really have not moved over the last 3 hours, sitting almost stationary just to the south of the cities. If this line can get its act together and follow those steering winds, they may make their way into parts of at least our northwestern communities. There is talks of a possible severe thunderstorm watch for that cluster of storms. We'll wait to see what happens. It's about 40%, so it's kind of leaning maybe not likely. This cluster of storms is going to push off towards the south and east. And as I mentioned, we may see that line of storms off towards the cities push their way south and eastwards because the steering winds to our north are still out of the southeast. If that were to play out, we'll likely see some storms overnight into the early morning hours on Saturday. if it does more of what Future Track is suggesting, which is it fizzles out, that stationary front still brings inactivity out of Minnesota as we kick off Saturday morning, but we don't see that rain until Saturday late afternoon, mid to late afternoon hours across mainly eastern and some of southeastern Wisconsin as we go overnight into Sunday. But then we're not quite done yet. That stationary front really hasn't moved out of the Wisconsin area. It pulls in more moisture as we go Sunday into Monday. We start to see things wrap up by Tuesday of next week. A high pressure system finally moves on in, kicking all of this moisture, kicking this stationary front to our south. So how much rain could we see? It really is going to be dependent on whether or not this cluster of storms up in the cities gets its act together. If it doesn't, likely most of that heavier rain is right where it's placed here, further to our north. But if we do see that activity Saturday late afternoon, early evening into Sunday, I wouldn't be surprised if we do pick up a couple of inches across the Madison area and especially east-northeastward. Southwestern Wisconsin, this is good news for Grant County. We're likely not going to see that higher end rain totals like what we saw the past weekend. Bad news for folks further to the east, like in the Milwaukee area, where we could still be dealing with 2 to 3 inches of possible rain. So that's the reason why our excessive rainfall outlook through the weekend is low to medium. Friday into Saturday, Saturday into Sunday, Sunday into Monday, and then low across all of Wisconsin Monday into Tuesday. That's when this high pressure system starts to do what it needs to do and get all this mess out of here. And as it does move on in, it brings down some cooler air, 70s Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we look to do it again as we head into the upcoming weekend.
All right, Blaze, thank you. And tomorrow, the Green Bay Packers will face off against the Indianapolis Colts down at Lucas Oil Stadium. We likely, though, won't see any starters play. So when will they take the field?
Senior Packers writer Jason Wilde is in Green Bay with the answer.
Packers head coach Matt LaFleur had a very clear vision on how he wanted to play his starters during his team's 3 preseason games. Against the New York Jets last Saturday, he wanted to play his starters on both sides of the ball, probably 2 series. That's exactly what happened. This Saturday, against the Indianapolis Colts at Lucas Oil Stadium, he didn't want to play them at all. And that's probably what's going to happen again. And then next Saturday, in the preseason finale against the Seattle Seahawks back at Lambeau Field, he intended to play his starters again. Now, in the wake of Jordan Love's thumb surgery, that may not be the case next Saturday. But I can tell you this Saturday against the Colts, he won't be playing most of his starters. Now, there is one possible notable exception, and that is last year's first-round pick, Jordan Morgan. Morgan is competing with the incumbent at left tackle, Rasheed Walker, for the starting job. And Walker has been sidelined, limited in practice for the last week or so with a groin injury. This is an opportunity for Jordan Morgan to show not only that he's the player the Packers drafted in the first round, but that he is the guy who should be the starter. Look for number 77 for an extended stint in this game. That's it from here in Green Bay. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you, Jason. Kickoff for tomorrow's game against the Colts is set for noon Central Time.
And still to come at 5, many college students are getting ready to move back to their dorms. We'll hear from experts on what you can do to help ease their back-to-school anxiety.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
Well, as college students gear up for their freshman year, embracing independence and adapting to new routines can be challenging.
Our consumer reporter Michelle Renee Quinn joins us this morning and this afternoon as well to share how you can help your student make the best decisions for their health.
Freshman year of college is a new world for students. On top of exploring new places, new classes, and new schedules, first years can be easily overwhelmed with the transition and pressure of college. Now, many college students struggle with basic health habits when they start living independently. Dr. Bittinger specializes in family medicine and says parents should discuss the importance of maintaining healthy routines before students leave for school.
Things that we take for granted, like our diet, our exercise, our sleep, it all gets put under a microscope when it comes to college. So making sure that we talk about those things can hold everybody accountable.
Bittinger says students should also have a mental health toolbox with coping skills and resources for times of stress. UW counselors say the top 5 ways freshmen can manage the stress and anxiety is to 1, practice self-care and self-compassion by checking in with your body or what you need to try and create a routine. 2, find meaningful ways to connect with others. Once you establish that connection, it creates feelings of belonging and value. 3, acknowledge what you can and cannot control because you are not your circumstances. And 4, get physical activity, even if it's just 10 to 20 minutes. You can always take a walk to class instead of a drive. And 5, eat a healthy diet and drink plenty of water. Having the resources and coping skills in place can make your student feel less alone and more prepared to tackle stressful times or overwhelming feelings. So don't be afraid to have these conversations with your student as they head back to school.
It's great advice. Thank you, Michelle Renee. And Blaze is back with a final check of the weekend forecast when we come back.
As the war continues in Ukraine, President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin meet here in Alaska. We'll have the latest on the talks.
And Steve Hartman goes on the road to Virginia, where a conductor and veteran has spent a career striking the right notes on service and keeping promises. That's tonight on the CBS Evening News.
And coming up tonight at 6, we'll have continuing coverage on how the city of Madison is moving forward after failing to count nearly 200 ballots in the November 2024 election.
Finally at 5, a super collector has secured 5 of the greatest team sport athletes in history, all on one page. It started last year when Patrick Ryan bought a nearly 100-year-old autograph album at an auction. It included a page signed by baseball great Babe Ruth.
And in the course of a year, he managed to get 4 modern sports legends from football, hockey, soccer, and basketball to add their signatures. He secured autographs from none other than Tom Brady, Wayne Gretzky, Lionel Messi, and Michael Jordan. And Ryan says, well, he's not going to sell that autograph collection.
Understandable.
Somebody will come up with an offer for him. We'll see. Blaze with a final check.
Yeah, radar 3000 showing some general thunderstorms beginning to move into the B-Town area, staying south of Prairie du Chien, but most likely going to be moving into Potosi, Platteville, and maybe skipping Livingston right now. That cluster is mainly going to be pushing off to our southeast. We're going to keep an eye on those storms up near the cities. That's going to be our greatest threat as we head overnight into Saturday, bringing strong wind and hail, heavy rain as the main threats. Rain finally wraps up as we go into Wednesday of next week.
All right, Blaze, and thanks for joining us at 5. The CBS Evening News from Anchorage comes up next.
Have a good evening, everybody. Hope to see you back here for News 3 Now at 6.